Everyone have a very Merry Christmas? Did you get everything you want? Were you on the good list this year? No coal in the stockings, all that good stuff? Good? Good to hear. So this has got to be like the weirdest week of the year, right? Every year, this is like the weirdest week because Christmas is over. Christmas isn't over, and we're all in denial about it. We spent all month getting ready for Christmas, and it's over, right? Maybe it's just me who's in denial because I love Christmas. If you guys were around me at all throughout like November or December, you probably know that I love Christmas. Like, I go all out for Christmas. I love decorating the house for Christmas, setting up the Christmas tree, all the Christmas decorations, the outside, putting lights all over the house. I have a big blow-up nativity scene. I go all out for Christmas. And we start on November 1st because December, that just flies by. Like 25 days, that's not enough. After Thanksgiving, Like, I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's in there. It's got its spot. But November 1st, boom, Christmas starts. And I go all out. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen my ugly sweaters that I've been wearing all month long. I got the Christmas music playing. I got Christmas scented candles burning in my house. So if you're around me at all, you're like, man, it looks like Christmas. It smells like Christmas. It sounds like Christmas. And I'm all bundled up in my sweater even though it's 85 degrees. And it feels like Christmas, right? Christmas has like that special feeling that you can't really describe. And so, oh man, I just go all out getting ready for Christmas. I love it. I mean, we have to, right? Jesus' birthday, right? Got to go all out. So then the big day comes, December 25th, Jesus' birthday. We're excited. Kids run down the stairs, rip open those gifts. Christmas is just a blast. You get together with your families. Everyone agrees to not fight and talk about politics for like 15 minutes. And like everyone's having fun, right? There's like that feeling of Christmas that you just can't really describe. But it's the most wonderful time of the year, right? And then December 26th comes around. Right? December 26th. It's got to be the most boring, lamest day of the year. Sorry if your birthday is like on the 26th. I just offended you. But the 26th is like, oh, man, Christmas is over. We just spent a month getting ready for this. All the decorations and wrapping gifts and buying gifts and all the fun stuff. And then it's over. Right? But the awkward thing about this week is that, like, it's still kind of like Christmas time, and like people haven't really. Some people like look around. We still got trees up here, and there's Christmas presents, and the Christmas music's still playing, and my kids are like, jingle bells, come on, again. And I'm like, no, Christmas is over, Daddy. Let's read the Grinch. No, I'm the Grinch. Christmas is over. 26, done, right? The Christmas is still all around us, so it's like this awkward week. Now, I go all out for Christmas. I love Christmas, but boom, that clock strikes midnight on the 25th. We move into the 26th. We're done. Christmas is over. We got to wait another year for this. So, like, that whole next week is just sad, right? And I wake up on the 26th like a guy who just got dumped. Like, get her stuff out of my house. I don't want to see it anymore. Everywhere I look, I see pictures with Santa Claus. And blow out that candle. It still smells like her in here. And the Christmas music, turn that off. Those were our songs. And then, like, the most pathetic part is when we're still playing the Christmas commercials. Like, come on, we're trying to move on here. Quit playing those commercials. I can't even turn my TV on without being reminded that every kiss begins with K. The denial of post-Christmas, right? So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I just need to move on, but I love Christmas, and this is like the weirdest week. I go all out for Christmas, but of all the fun Christmas stuff I love to do, my favorite thing to do is watch Christmas movies. Anybody big fan of Christmas movies? I love the Christmas movies. Oh, the best thing about like so many of these Christmas movies are like so many of them like aren't even good, but we just watch them over and over again, and we just gobble them up because we're getting in the Christmas spirit. And if these movies were made like any other time of the year, everyone would be like, throw that away. There are some good ones like Elf, greatest movie of all time. Any Elf fans in here? That's what I'm talking about. Oh, I love that movie. But like the thing about Christmas movies is funny. We come back to them year after year. I watch Elf like 5 times a year. I could probably recite the whole movie for you. But I just keep going back and watching Elf over and over again. I'm like, ooh, I know what's going to happen next. I know what's going to happen next. But I get so excited. The thing about the Christmas movies that have really like stood the test of time is they have those special moments, right? And even though you've seen them like a million times, you keep going back to watch them, and you watch with like that anticipation because you know what's coming next. And that's what kind of makes those movies classic, is those special moments that no matter how many times you see them, you keep going back for it. One of those movies that kind of does that the best is A Christmas Story. How many people have seen A Christmas Story, right? Christmas Story is one of those movies that people go back to year after year after year, and it's a classic because it's got all those classic moments that you get excited to see, right? When he gets the pink bunny suit, or when he wants the Red Ryder BB gun, and what does everyone tell him? You'll shoot your eye out, right? See, we all know it. And then he goes to Santa, and Santa kicks him down the slide, and when the dad gets the major prize. It's a classic movie, right? But the thing is, year after year, people come back to see those moments. In fact, since 1997, TBS has had an all-day marathon, starting on Christmas Eve, going all through Christmas Day. They play the movie over and over and over again. The best part is they never have less than 3 million viewers. And, I mean, it's a movie that's been out forever, and but people keep coming back for those moments. One of my favorite moments from the movie is when Flick gets his tongue stuck to the pole, right? We all know that iconic image of Flick with his tongue stuck to the pole. They dare him to do it, and he's like, no. And then they double dare him to do it. Oh, no. Then they double dog dare him to do it, and oh, things are starting to get real. And then they skip right past the triple dare, and they jump right to the triple dog dare. Now things are intense. He's got to do it. So he does it, and he sticks his tongue to the pole. Of course, it gets stuck, and then the bell rings, and all the kids run away to class and leave him there. It's such a iconic moment. And so we've seen that scene a million times, but people continually come back to see that, right? But the movie tells us, or the trailer tells us, that this movie unwraps the secret of the original, traditional, 100% two-fisted, red-blooded, all-American Christmas. But really what this movie tells us is that Christmas is ultimately about the traditions, right? Christmas is ultimately about the traditions. A lot of families have family traditions, especially around Christmas time, things you do every year. Now, my family growing up, I didn't have a ton of traditions, but one thing that really stood out to me from my childhood was Fred. Now, Fred was this beautiful Christmas ornament right here. Now, Fred was, I don't know how old, but he had no eyes, and his horn would always fall, and we'd super glue it back on, and he was losing all his glitter. But my dad just adored Fred. It was his favorite thing. And my mom did not feel the same way about Fred. So every year, we'd start, setting up the Christmas tree, and my dad would find Fred, and he'd take him right over to the tree, and he'd put him at the top of the tree right in the front for everyone to see. And then as soon as he looked away, my mom, put that thing right in the back. And then my dad would come back, and it was like this game. They went back and forth, moving Fred around the tree. So that was one thing that kind of stood out to me about my childhood. But we didn't really have a ton of family traditions, things that we did every year. So now that I have a family of my own, we're starting to make traditions. One thing that we did this year on November 1st, because that's when the Christmas season starts, everybody, we made a pillow fort in our living room. We took all the pillows off the couch and everything, and we slept in our living room and watched Christmas movies. We watched Elf. And so Ace thought that was like the coolest thing. Like, what? We can sleep down here tonight, and we can stay up late and watch movies, and it was so much fun, and he just loved it. And so when you start a tradition, it probably starts with some purpose. Something that, you start it with a reason, and you want it to be repeated for a reason. And so with this, it was kind of like, this was fun. I saw how excited we're getting to do something different. We're going to rip the couches apart, something we don't typically get to do, and stay up late and sleep down here in the living room. So it was this fun thing that we wanted to start, and he was so excited about it. So a lot of you probably have family traditions, and maybe some of them are very purposeful, but a lot of times, behaviors that get repeated over time begin to lose their purpose, right? You kind of lose sight on why do we start doing this? We just kind of do it every year, and we just continually do these traditions. And we just kind of do it because it was passed down, and that's the way that we've always done it. But really, there's no reason to do anything without purpose. If you've ever had to do anything that you felt didn't have purpose, it's annoying. It's draining, right? So maybe in school, you ever have a teacher that gave you an assignment and it's like, oh, this is going to take so much time. Why do I have to do this? I don't understand what the purpose is. Or maybe at work, you have a boss that makes you do a task and you're like, oh, like this is going to take all my time. And why am I doing this? This seems like such a waste of time. So when you have to do something without purpose, it becomes draining. It's frustrating. It's tedious. And so a lot of times, when we do things repeatedly, we repeat behaviors, we begin to lose sight on the purpose behind it. But then also, in the same way, we can lose sight in the reason why we do things. We can also often lose the purpose within relationships, right? And a lot of times, people can just become something that fulfills a role, right? So you go out to eat, you have a waiter. You don't have a relationship with the waiter. The waiter just serves the role of getting your food, getting the food, bringing it to your table, right? You go to Starbucks, you go to your coffee shop, and there's a barista there. You probably don't have a relationship with that barista. They just serve a role for you. Go, make the coffee, bring it to me. A teacher in school, right? So the funny thing is when we have these relationships with people who just kind of serve roles in our life without having a real relationship, things get awkward when we bump into those people out of their typical environment. I remember when I was in second grade, we went to the grocery store, and I saw my teacher, and it blew my mind. Like, whoa, what? This is weird. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be like at the school in your classroom, like grading papers or something? Right? You bumping these people at a restaurant. Like, what? You eat food too? Really? Like, I thought you just existed in this place where you fulfill this role for me. But that's not the way relationships work. These relationships that exist outside, or these purpose-filled roles without a relationship, can lead to some awkwardness. So I go to Chick-fil-A like all the time, right? So I know pretty much everyone who works at Chick-fil-A. I even know a lot of them by name. And so the thing that gets funny, though, is like I know these people. I'm there. I talk to them. Hey, how you doing? How was Christmas, right? But then I bump into them outside of Chick-fil-A, and it's like, oh, I don't know how this works now. Like, do I still know you? Or like, and so I see them and say, hey, can I have a spicy chicken sandwich? You know, like, I don't know how to handle it. It gets awkward. It gets uncomfortable because traditionally you're just kind of at this place where you do this thing and I get this thing from you in return. So traditions lose their purpose over time, and as we repeat behaviors, it's easy to lose sight on why we started them. And in the same way, when we have people in our lives that serve a role without a relationship, things get awkward. And I feel like this is kind of how we tend to treat God, right? Like God is this person in our life who fulfills this role, but sometimes that relationship is lacking. And our obedience is like this tradition. It's like this thing that we always do because that's the way that Christians do things. And the Christians do this, and the Christians don't do that. And they do give, and they do go to church, and we don't do that. And our obedience to God becomes just kind of like this Christmas tradition, this behavior that we repeat because, I don't know, I assume that tradition was started by God at some point, and it was probably a nice thing, and that's probably what he wants me to do, so I'll continue to do it. And we can kind of lose sight in why we're acting in this obedience. But the thing is that the power of the Holy Spirit in our lives is intended to do so much more than that. It's intended to be so much more than just behaving in a traditional way and doing things and not doing things. The role of the Holy Spirit in our life is so much more than that. It's more than just traditions. And when we start living this way and we get caught up in this, we can bump into God outside of the place we usually see him. And it's like, whoa, oh, hey, God, what are you doing here, right? And maybe things get a little uncomfortable. So we kind of cruise through life. We're doing our thing. Then we hit those speed bumps. Hey, God, get out here. What are you doing, right? Get out here. And we kind of keep God in this box. Ephesians 4 verse 7 says this. It says, grace was given to each one of us according to the measure of Christ's gift. Other versions say that God has given each of us a special gift through the generosity of Christ. So we've received this gift, and that's really what Christmas is all about this gift that God has given us. Now, how many of you guys got a gift this Christmas? Did you guys get gifts? Anybody get some gifts, right? 3 of you, wow. Everyone else, no, my family doesn't like me. So I'm sure a lot of you guys got gifts. And let me ask you, when you received a gift, what did you do with it? Opened it, right? You rip that sucker up. You get excited, right? And so the story of Christmas is really that God has given us this gift. He sent his son. Jesus left a perfect home in heaven to come and give his life for us. So we received this gift of grace. And it's like God has given us this beautiful gift. And here it is. And we're like, oh, God, wow. You really shouldn't have. This is so nice. I don't think I'm going to open it. This is so pretty. I think I'm just going to kind of carry it around, right? When you get a gift, you open it. But see, it seems like this is what we tend to do with God. We kind of keep him in this box, right? We've received this gift of a relationship with God, but we kind of treat him just as the person who serves the role in our life. He's the person we believe in, and it's nice, and we received him, and I carry around, and I believe in him. I'll talk to him sometimes. He's right there in that box. And he hasn't fully invaded my life because I've kept that box closed. But then when things get bad, whoa, hey, God, get out here, right? And so in the same way that we can kind of feel uncomfortable when we see people outside of their typical environments where they serve that role for us, we can kind of feel uncomfortable with God in that way, right? We're afraid to let him out of the box because what might he get involved in, right? If I really let him out of this box, man, he might start digging around and finding things like, oh, hey, I found this unforgiveness, and oh, look what I found down here, and things start to get uncomfortable. And so he does this, and we kind of like shove him back in the box. Hey, what are you doing out here? Get back in there. Get back in that box, right? But see, God wants a real relationship with you. And relationships aren't about roles. It's not about what someone does for you. God doesn't just want to be the person that you believe in. He doesn't want to just be an add-on for your life that you carry around. Like, look at this nice gift of grace I've received. I kept it in the box. No, God wants a relationship with you. He wants to get involved in your life. He wants to get real with you. But a lot of times we can treat God like Santa in the sky. And we're like Ralphie, and we go to Santa and we sit on his lap. I want a BB gun, right? No one's got a relationship with Santa, right? No. You go to Santa, you sit on his lap, you tell him what you want, he drops the gifts off at your house. But boom, he fulfills his role in your life of delivering the gifts. And a lot of times we can treat God like this. We walk through him in the box, with him in the box, and then things go wrong. We're, hey, time to fulfill your role. Get out here. Don't you see what's going on out here? What are you doing? Don't you see that I lost my job? Don't you see how this relationship's going? Don't you see how things are going right now? And you're just going to stay in the box like that? And he's like, hey, you're the one who kept me in here. I want a relationship with you. I was living this life for a long time. That's the life that I was living. I believed in God. I thought I knew him, and I carried him around in this box. See, I was raised in a Christian home, and my parents taught me about God. My parents taught me about Jesus. I went to church every week. I knew my stuff. Like when I went to small group and they asked questions, I'm like, boom, boom, got it. I knew my stuff, right? You came up to me and asked me a question about the Bible, I probably knew. I knew this stuff. I was raised in it. As I got older, I got really involved in the church, and I started playing music. And so I played in the band on Wednesday night in my youth group, and I played in the band on Sunday morning. So, man, you went to church, boom, there's Zach. You ask him a question about the Bible, boom, Zach knows. I thought I was really good at being a Christian. I thought that I was real good at doing the Christian thing. I did the things that Christians traditionally did. I did the things that that Christians traditionally did, and I didn't do the things that Christians traditionally didn't do. So I'm going through life, and I think I know my stuff. And I believed in God. I talked to him sometimes. I knew a lot about him. I was in church. I'm doing the things. I think I'm living this life. When I'm in 8th or 9th grade, I get this youth pastor, and he tells me to read the book of 1 John. I said, oh, okay. And then I see him again. Hey, did you read it? Oh, no, I didn't read it. Hey, did you read it? No, I didn't read it. So one day I'm like, I got to read this because he just keeps asking. I got to be able to say yes. So one day I sit down. I open up my Bible to the book of 1 John, and I kid you not, God reaches his arm up out of my Bible and slaps me in the face. That's what it felt like. So I sit down to read the book of 1 John, and I felt like God was saying to me, Zach, man, you know so much about me. You don't know me. You don't really know me. You know what, Zach? You might actually be my biggest fan, but I'm not looking for fans. I want you to follow me. I want a relationship with you. I don't want you to just carry me around. I want to be involved in your life. And so as I read through the book of 1 John, I saw this life that God was calling me to live. I saw this life that he was laying out before me, that it wasn't just I was inviting him along for the ride of my life to kind of be there that I could cash in on him when things get bad. And when I get to the end, when I die, but hey, here's my heaven ticket because I got the gift that God sent me. But I realized that was not what God was calling to me. He was calling me up to this new high standard. He was calling me to take my life and cram that thing down the garbage disposal like the leftovers of Christmas dinner. To grind that thing up, to turn on the sink and wash it away so that Zach is no longer living, but Christ is now living through him. So I read this book, and I thought I was so good at doing the Christian thing. And then I read this book, and I started reading. Let me tell you a little bit about what I read. 1 John 1, I should actually say 6 there. 1 John 1, verse 6. It says, if we claim to have fellowship with him, yet we walk in the darkness, we lie, and the truth is not in us. 1 John 1, verse 8. If we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. I read on. Chapter 2, verse 3, it says, we know that we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Whoever says, I know him, but does not do what he commands is a liar, and the truth is not in that person. But if anyone obeys his word, love of God is truly made complete in him. And I read this, and I felt like God was telling me, like, listen, your obedience is not about just what you do and what you don't do. It's not an act. It's not just modifying your behavior. It's about giving me your life. It's about letting me out of this box and letting me live in a relationship with you. And when you do this, your actions, it's not just going to be modifying your behavior and doing things and not doing things, but you're going to love me. And then you're going to start living your life as a response to that love that you have for me. And then I read chapter 2, verse 6, and this was the moment my life was changed. 1 John 2, verse 6. This is how we know we are in him. Whoever claims to live in him must live as Jesus did. Whew. I read that verse. I'm like, man, I thought I was so good at this Christian thing. I read this verse, and it's just like God dropped this nuclear bomb on my life. Boom! Zach Hart, time of death, 7:30. So then the smoke cleared. I'm digging through the debris and find the obliterated pieces of my life. And I took this gift that I'd been carrying around my whole life, instead of just walking with it by my side, put it down on the ground. And I stood up on it. And instead of carrying him around with me, I rebuilt my life on the foundation, on a new foundation of him, of this relationship that I had with God. I tore open that box, this gift that I felt like I'd been carrying around my whole life. I said, all right, God, let's do this. You've called me to this whole new life, this whole new standard. I've been thinking I've been doing this act for so long. I feel like I really started a real relationship with him. But I got to tell you, once I rebuilt my life on this new foundation, once I opened that box and let God out, sometimes things got a little uncomfortable. Because when I let him out, he started digging around. He started digging places that I'm like, I don't know if I want you digging in there. He's like, hey, Zach, you remember you put your life down the garbage disposal. I found some little pieces, some little particles that were left over. I was digging around. I found this unforgiveness. And, that might be something that Zach would hold on to, but remember, Zach's no longer living. It's Christ that's living through Zach. And, Christ doesn't hold on to this unforgiveness, Zach. It's got to go. Going through life, and I feel like God's like, hey, you got to go apologize to that person. I'm like, God, what are you talking about? You saw what they did. You saw I didn't do anything wrong. What do you mean you want me to go to apologize? Whoa, Zach. I want you to go apologize to them. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything wrong. This person is being a total jerk. I didn't do anything wrong. Why do you want me to go to apologize? He said, God, Zach, I need you to go show them my love. I need you to go show them my forgiveness. And I know, listen, I'm king of the universe, right? I came down to this earth, to this world. They had their backs turned on me. I was mocked. I was rejected. I was spit on. All the while, I'm their creator. And you know what I did? I humbled myself. I was equal with God. I didn't take that as something to be grasped. I got down on my knees. I washed those people's feet. I served them. I loved them. And then I went to a cross and I gave up my life for those jerks. Man, and God started calling me to this whole new standard. See, when we let God out of the box, man, he calls us up. He calls us up to this new life. Not just carry him around and believe in him and don't do this and don't do that. He calls us up to the highest level. He calls us to live this life of love, of kindness, of forgiveness, of sacrifice, of humility and servanthood and selflessness. And he says, if you're going to follow me, you got to do what I did. How many people played the game Follow the Leader? It's like one of the earliest games you learn as a child because it's so simple. Hey, this person's the leader, do what they do, right? So if I'm the leader and I jump, what's everybody do? Jump, right? It's not that complicated. I'm the leader, I shout, what's everybody do? Shout, right? You do what the leader does. When we enter into this relationship with God, we enter into a lifelong game of follow the leader. We do what Jesus did. We enter into this lifelong game of follow the leader, and the life of Jesus was recorded here in the Bible, in these Gospels. And we see the life that he lived because he came and he lived in front of us as an example. So now we can go and follow the leader, Jesus, to live the life that he did, so that when people look on, they see him. Jesus called us up to the highest level. Right? When Jesus came on the scene, Matthew chapter 5, Sermon on the Mountain, he gets out, he starts preaching. This is some of the stuff he said. He said, you've heard it said, right? He comes in, he starts up in the bar. You've heard it said, don't murder. But I'm telling you, you can't even be angry with your brother. Don't even be angry with them. You've heard it said, don't commit adultery. But I'm telling you, you can't even look at a woman in lust. If you've done that, you've already committed adultery with her in her heart. Again, you've heard it said, don't break an oath. But I am calling you to a life of the highest integrity. Make your yeses mean yes, and make your no's mean no. I'm calling you to the highest integrity. You've heard it said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I'm telling you, don't resist the evil people. You got to remember, man, these people are lost. They're hurting. They're broken. They don't have me. So their natural response is sin. So you got to show these people my love. When they come to you and they smack you on the cheek, you got to turn your other cheek to them. They come to you and they try and sue you for your shirt, man, take off your coat and give it to them. And they say, hey, you got to go 1 mile. You say, hey, let's go 2. Come on. Jesus came and upped the bar to the highest level. You have heard it said, love your neighbor, hate your enemy. But I'm telling you, you got to love your enemies. And you got to pray for the people who persecute you. And then he ends chapter 5 with this: be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. He comes and he raises the bar to the highest level, perfection. And then he lives it out. He lives the perfect life in front of us. And then he says, if you're going to claim to be a follower of me, you got to live that life. Because when you live that life, people are going to look on and you're going to stand out and people are going to see me through you. And so our obedience and our actions are not just the do's and the don'ts and Christian traditions, but it's filled with purpose. When we accept Christ, we receive this life that's filled with purpose. And our obedience isn't just about fulfilling some sort of tradition. It's not the do's and the don'ts, but it's about living this life that Jesus has lived. And so let me tell you this. God didn't give us rules and commands just for the heck of it. He didn't give us rules and commands so that we could, do these things and we would prove that we love him. He didn't just lay these things out to see if we'd actually do it. Everything that God did was filled with purpose. The life that he lays out and calls us to live is because he loves us, because he knows what's best for us, and he's looking out for us. So there's purpose behind his commands. He's like a father who's guiding his children. He's looking out for them. He says, I know. Just follow the ways I set before you. And so he's looking out for his kids. And when we act in obedience, we will naturally receive blessing. When we act in obedience, we naturally receive blessing. And it's not because God's there with golden star stickers and they're like, hey, I did something right. And he's like, oh, great job, high five. That's not what it's about. But it's about God has put this path before us. He says, man, go down this path. Go down this path of righteousness. And when we follow after the life that he's called us to and that he set before us, we naturally receive those blessings. Righteousness naturally reaps rewards. So there's only one thing really that I'll brag about in my life, and that's my marriage. And I just have the most wonderful, amazing wife in the world. And I'm so grateful for her. And she's just amazing in everything she does. I'm so grateful for her. And so when we started dating, we made this decision that we were going to wait to have sex until we were married. And let me tell you, we didn't make that decision because traditionally that's what Christians do. Traditionally, Christians wait to have sex till they're married. Oh, okay, I'll do that. No, that's not what it's about. It took a lot more than some sort of tradition to fight against sexual temptation for 4 years. We dated for 4 years until we got married, but we made this decision because we wanted to honor God. We wanted to honor God through our relationship, and we trusted in him, and we trusted that he had plans for us. We trusted that his plans for us were good, and we trusted that he put this path before us because he was leading us to the best life. He knew that was best for us. And I'm just like, I'm a kid, and he's my father. He says, Zach, do this because this is what's going to be best for you. And I trusted that he wasn't just giving me rules without purpose, but he was leading me to what was best for me. So we made this decision. And I have this amazing marriage. Now, did God give my marriage some special blessing because of our obedience? I don't know. That's not what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe in some way. All I'm saying is that God put this path before us. He says, Zach, this is what's best for you. And we just said, okay, we'll take it. And we went. And we trusted in God. And as we went down that path, we began to reap the rewards of that faithfulness. So it's not that God was there giving me a high five, like, hey, you did it. You did what I challenged you to do. But when we go down the path that God has laid before us, we receive what's best for us, and it's a natural road to blessings. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, Moses is speaking to the Israelites. And Deuteronomy means the second law, or the law repeated. And so Moses is speaking to the Israelites, and he's reminding them of God's commands. And he's reminding them of all the times that God has come through for them. And he's reminding them of all the times that God has made his promises true. And so he's speaking to them before they enter this new land of Canaan. And he tells them that this new life that you're going to receive once we enter this new land, it's going to be dictated by the choices you make. And so I'm laying out this law before you that God has given to us. And if you follow this path, if you do what God says, you're going to reap the benefits of it. You're going to live a life filled with blessing. But if you choose disobedience, don't expect those same blessings. So in Deuteronomy chapter 8, Moses wrote this. It says, if you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully keep all of his commands that I am giving you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the world, and you will experience all these blessings if you obey the Lord your God. Your towns and your fields will be blessed. Your children and your crops will be blessed. Your offspring and your herd and your flocks will be blessed. Your fruit baskets and your breadboards will be blessed. Wherever you go and whatever you do, you will be blessed. The Lord will conquer your enemies when they attack you. They will attack you from one direction, but scatter from you in seven. The Lord will guarantee a blessing on everything you do and will fill your storehouses with grain. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. If you obey the commands of the Lord your God and walk in his ways, the Lord will establish you as his holy people, as he swore he would do. And then all the nations of the world will see that you are a people claimed by the Lord, and they will stand in awe of you. The Lord will give you prosperity in the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, blessing you with many children, numerous livestock, and abundant crops. The Lord will send rain at the proper time from his rich treasury in heaven, and he will bless all the work you do. You will lend to many nations, but will never need to borrow from them. If you listen to these commands of the Lord your God, if you listen to these commands of the Lord your God that I am giving you today, and if you carefully obey them, the Lord will make you the head and not the tail, and you will always be on top and never at the bottom. So Moses writes this to the Israelites. He says, man, God's laid out this path before us. Your life is going to be dictated by these decisions that you make. You can choose to live this life of obedience, and you're going to reap the rewards and the benefits of that. And if you don't, then you won't. It's that simple. So I've kind of laid this out, and so a lot of you are probably thinking like, hey, this obedience thing sounds pretty nice. If I'm just obedient, I'm going to get rich, I'm never going to die, life's going to be sweet, right? No. Unfortunately not. Because we live in this broken world that is consumed by sin. So it's never going to be the rainbows and butterflies. And Jesus told us that in this life, you're going to face trouble. I can guarantee it. You're going to go through hard times. However, this path of obedience that I'm setting before you is certainly the path of least resistance. And while I can't tell you that everything's going to be perfect, if you act in obedience and you take these paths I set before you, you're guaranteed not to run head on into it. And so in life, we're going to face problems, right? You might be a great driver and still get in a car accident. You might live and have a healthy lifestyle and a healthy diet and still have a heart attack. You might work hard and be diligent and still lose your job. You might never smoke a day in your life and still get cancer. But is it still a good idea to have a healthy lifestyle and drive safe and not smoke and work hard? Yeah, of course. So just as obedience is this natural path to blessing, disobedience is a natural path to destruction. See, God's always there. He's always looking out for us. He's there to protect us. But God won't bring blessing in the midst of disobedience. God's not going to bring blessing in the midst of disobedience. Let's imagine my kids are running around in the church just being crazy. And every time they do something bad, I got a bag of lollipops. I'm like, hey, here you go, kid. Keep on being evil, right? Or right now my kids are up in the nursery. Let's imagine you hear that my son punches one of your kids in the face. You're pretty upset about that. But I come up to you and say, hey, really sorry about this. Don't worry, I got it under control. After church, I'm going to take him out to ice cream. You'd be like, wow, you're an awful father, right? So when we walk outside of God's path for us, we're removing him from the equation. And we're taking our blessings into our own hands. We're saying, you know what, God, I know that you're telling me to walk in obedience and take this path, but I got to figure this out. And so maybe I got to lie a little bit. Maybe I got to stretch the truth. Maybe I got to cheat. Maybe I got to steal a little bit. I'm going to take my blessings into my own hands. I'm going to figure out another way to get to where I want to go. And so we take our blessings into our own hands. Recently, I had to file an insurance claim. After Hurricane Irma, we had some damage to our house, so we called our insurance company. They sent someone out, and they were really great to us. We felt like they were being very fair. They gave us the money for the repairs minus our deductible, and felt like they were being pretty fair with us. So I started reaching out to different people to do different repairs and stuff. And so as I did this, I was presented by multiple people an opportunity to make a little more money, to get a little more out of the pockets of my insurance company. Basically, people said, hey, you know what? I like you. So let me tell you, this is just kind of how we do things. So I'm going to give you a quote that's a little bit more than the amount that your insurance company gave you. So you're going to take that quote to them and you say, hey, listen, you didn't give me enough. I'm not going to be able to get this repaired. So they're going to give you a little extra money. But then I'm going to give you a second quote because I really like you. I'm going to give you special discount. So you'll get a little bit of extra money. And people would tell me, hey, this is just kind of the game that we play with the insurance companies. It's just kind of how the system works. This is just, we do this with everyone. This is pretty normal. And so I'm sitting there like, oh, man, woo. And we're not talking about nickels and dimes. We're talking about a couple $1,000s. And apparently everyone's doing this. And it's so easy. It just, hey, they're going to charge me this. But, oh, hey, look, a discount magically appeared. So it didn't really seem like it was that dishonest. And it was going to be easy, quick, easy. A couple $1,000s in my pockets. That's not an opportunity we're presented with every day. And I could have done it. And you know what? Maybe I'd be sitting here today with a little thicker pockets with some cash hanging out. But I didn't, because I let God out of the box. And he's called me up to the highest standard of integrity, not to do things the way that everyone else is doing them, not to go with the norm or what's accepted, and everyone kind of plays this game. God's called me to the highest standard to be perfect as he lived this perfect life before us. And so, yeah, I could have got that money. It would have been quick, would have been easy. I mean, the blessing looked like it was sitting right there. I just had to reach out and grab it. But who knows what blessing I might have been robbing myself of by not walking in that path of obedience. So, a few weeks ago, we're having dinner, and we're having cookies for dessert. Woo, cookies. Yeah, everybody loves cookies. So Ace is like, woo, cookies, can I have a cookie? I said, yes, of course. I would love for you to have a cookie, but you got to eat your dinner first, right? You can't just be eating cookies. It's going to make your belly hurt. You're not going to get big and strong, right? So I would love for you to have a cookie, but you have to eat your dinner first. Well, some time goes on, doesn't eat his dinner. Out come the cookies. Oh, cookies. Can I have a cookie? No, buddy, you can't have a cookie. What? And I explained to him, like, you know, buddy, I'm your father. I'm looking out for you. I can't let you just eat cookies. That's not what's good for you. You would get sick. You wouldn't grow. You wouldn't get strong, right? And then he said to me, Daddy, why won't you let me have a cookie? Oh. Daddy, why won't you let me have a cookie? And I told him, buddy, I laid out the path to the cookie. You just didn't take it. right? So when we go outside of God's plans and we go outside of his ways, those blessings don't come. And it's not that God is there and he's punishing us, saying, oh, you did this, rip your blessings away. That's not what it is. It's just that he's laid out this path of blessing, and we make the choice not to go down it. We try and take our blessings into our own hands. We try and figure it out on our own and keep God in that box. I'm gonna figure this out. Instead of just walking faithfully down that path. Let's say I hear one of you're in need. And I'm a very kind, generous man, so I say, here's my car. I heard you're in need. Wow, a car, this is so nice. And I say, hey, you just got to take it down to the gas station, make sure you fill it up with gas. Done. So you're like, all right, yeah, I got my new car. This is nice. You drive it down to the gas station, but then you see on the inside they're having a deal, 2 for $3 on Mountain Dews. And you're like, hey, you know what? I'll buy some Mountain Dew. I'll put that in the tank instead of the gas. That's cheaper. So you go into the gas station, you buy that Mountain Dew, you open it up. Hey, I like Mountain Dew. I'm sure the car is going to like Mountain Dew. So we put Mountain Dew into the gas tank. What's going to happen to that car? It's going to die, right? So now you come back to me and say, hey, why did you kill my car? I thought you were nice. I thought you were the one who gave me the car. Now it's dead. Why'd you give me that car? I'm sitting there like, that doesn't have anything to do with me. I told you got to put gas in the car to make it run. You chose not to put gas in the car. And it's like so many times I think we go to God and we're like, God, what's going on? Get out here. Why do you see what's going on in my life? And he's like, wait. Listen, you're the one who took me out of this equation. You're the one who's not walking down the path that I set before you. I've called you up to this high standard, and you're trying to cheat and get your way around it and find your own way to the blessing. So why are you trying to hit me up saying this is my fault? I love you. You know I love you. You're my child. I've proven my love for you. I sent my son to go die on a cross for you. You think I don't want to bless you? Of course not. And we're like, God, why won't you let us have the cookie? I gave you the path to the cookie, son. You just didn't take it. See, God's word is a lamp into our feet and a light into our path. And he lays out this path, and we just got to walk it in obedience. But see, the enemy comes in, and he wants to steer us off path because he wants to steer us away from God's best for us. Christmas is fun. We love Christmas. We love the Christmas traditions and all that stuff. But the real Christmas story is good news of great joy. It's not just about traditions or family fun. It's that we've been given this gift. God gave his life for us because he wants a relationship with us. He doesn't want to just be some guy in the sky that we believe in and carry around this box like we got him. He wants a real relationship with you. He wants you to let him out of the box. He wants to call you up to the highest standard, to live out the life that Jesus did so that you can live a life that's filled with purpose, that when people look on and they see you, they see Jesus. So let's act in obedience, not just because that's the things that Christians do and that's not the things that Christians do. Let's act in obedience, knowing that our Father in heaven loves us. He's laid out this path that's best for us. Let's trust him. Let's walk in obedience. Even when we see like there's blessings there that we could just reach out and grab, it looks so easy. Let us not to just follow after the way the world does things or what everybody's doing. Let us to walk this path in faith so we can receive God's best for us. Let God out of the box and see what he does in your life. I triple dog dare you.